From Boise, Idaho, college basketball on CBS Sports Network, presented by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. The nation's longest home winning streak is on the line as Boise State tries to make it 23 straight at home against UNLV. With Gonzaga great Dan Dickow, I'm Carter Blackburn. For those who follow this league, it's not a surprise that Boise State is 3-0. But Dan, the way this season started for Boise State, it's an accomplishment to be undefeated in conference play so far.
It is. They're coming off back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances, so they scheduled up. The results weren't what they necessarily wanted, but it prepared them to get hot in January, where they're 3-0 to start in Mountain West Conference play, beating San Jose State. Colorado State ranked here at home, where there's a tremendous atmosphere, and then going on the road and winning at Nevada, which is a difficult place to play.
Handing Nevada just its second loss of the season. So the UNLV Running Rebels coming off a heartbreaking loss on Saturday against Utah State. Start Keelan Boone for the third straight game. So both of the Boones start Keelan and Caleb. For Boise State, Omar Stanley has been terrific of late at forward, and an interesting point guard matchup between Thomas and Anderson. Leon Rice, the winningest coach in Boise State basketball history, now in his 14th season, the two-time Mountain West Conference Coach of the Year. And Kevin Kruger, now in his third season as head coach of UNLV, where he was a terrific point guard, leading the Runnin' Rebels to the 2007 Sweet 16. And as it pertains to moving on from Saturday's loss when they had it slip away in the final seconds, Kevin Kruger said it was, quote, unfortunate. And moving on from there, turning the page, a capable UNLV team. So what do you expect between the Runnin' Rebels and the Broncos?
Well, Boise State, one of the best defensive teams, not just in the conference, but in the country. They want to slow it down, grind it out. That's what UNLV wants to do. They want to get the ball in Dedan Thomas Jr.'s hands. Let him create.
Thomas, the alley, and Caleb Boone, the oop, and that's a heck of a start for UNLV.
Exactly what they wanted to do. Get this crowd out of it as quickly as possible. A tremendous crowd here at ExtraMile Arena, where they've won 22 straight.
Stanley draws a double. That's one of the big questions, how they'll defend Stanley. So that's a look for Abo. Shabuzo Abo, who has been tremendous from three-point this year.
46% from beyond the arc. He has been extremely consistent. Only 2 games this season in double figures. Excuse me, in single figures.
Into the post again, Caleb Boone. Quick double, so kick out. That's a look for Rodriguez, who misses his first chance. Keelan Boone misses a chance at the board, and Max Rice brings it back for Boise State. Stanley, here comes another double. So another look for Abo. Rodriguez has the board.
Good recognition from Stanley, though. See the double, get rid of it once the double is committed. A nice extra pass. Degenhart, Abo just not able to knock it down.
Leon Rice talking to us earlier today about how he and Stanley have spent a lot of time looking at NBA double teams. And how about the three from outside from Caleb Boone? That from Keelan Boone, the outside shooter. So Caleb has the dunk, Keelan has the three, the first 5 points from the Boone twins.
We'll do our best to keep them straight. There's the easy thing, though, is Keelan really good on the perimeter, excuse me, on the interior. Keelan on the perimeter.
Anderson with the layup. Ronnie Anderson, who has been playing well on both ends of the floor as of late for Boise State.
He's a difference maker. As he's learned what Boise State wants to do on both ends of the floor, they have continued to put their foot on the gas and really improve.
Justin Webster feeds the post again. It's tipped out of bounds by Stanley. Let's take a look at our keys to the game.
Well, for the Rebels, get off to a good start. They did that with the lob dunk and rebound. Boise State, one of the best in the country at rebound differential. For the Broncos, contain Caleb Boone on the interior and then turn over Dedan Thomas. More difficult to do than it sounds. The freshman is sure-handed, makes good decisions.
Webster has to heave it with the shot clock winding down, boarded by Stanley. Anderson's scoring is a big boost for Boise State. He thought about the three here, but he went a stretch and back up Jace Whiting, where neither point guard was scoring anything for Boise State. Stanley loses it, gets it back. Rice, long-range three is a brick into the hands of Thomas. Edon Thomas Jr. finds Rodriguez on the wing and a fast break three. And Luis Rodriguez does some talking to the Boise State bench on his way back.
The simple decision-making from Thomas as a freshman is impressive. Could have tried to thread the needle to Boone for the lob and the dunk. Instead, finds the open Rodriguez calmly and allows him space to knock it down.
Tyson Degenhart, Boise State's leading scorer, facing up on Keelan Boone. Degenhart draws a double from the Boone twins. So back out to Anderson, who stops and floats in the lane. 4 early points for Roddy Anderson III.
A terrific sign. The sophomore from Huntington Beach. Season ago at UC San Diego, he started the majority of the season, but he was more of a scorer, learning the tricks of the trade at that point guard spot for Leon Rice.
Keelan Boone launches again. There's brother Caleb for the offensive rebound. Second chance. Quick look at the three from Webster. Stanley clears it. Rice attacking, drawing a foul, and one. Count the bucket. Are we going to count it? No. They're going to say it's on the floor. Leon Rice. That looked like a made bucket. How about that in the act of shooting?
Yeah, we'll get another look at it here. Anderson, the good kick-ahead pass to Rice. That should be, I mean, in the NBA, you get continuation. You get the benefit of the doubt. As soon as there was contact, he put it up towards the rim. That should have been a basket. He should be at the line shooting an extra free throw.
Instead, foul on Webster on the floor. Degenhart, he was hit hard, no call. So the Boise State fans have something to chirp about early on, as does Leon Rice. Rodriguez stops on the baseline and airballs it into Stanley's hands. Anderson winning the point guard matchup early. Jackie Johnson III into the game playing along with Thomas. Johnson has been a defensive stopper for UNLV. Stanley has it ripped away. Rodriguez goes for the steal. That is a tie-up. Possession arrow will keep it with Boise State. The Broncos have won 9 of 10 overall. They're 8-0 at home. Boise State goes for 4-0 in Mountain West Conference play against the UNLV Runnin' Rebels. Two made threes early for UNLV and a 1-point lead. The Runnin' Rebels on the road against Boise State. 8-0 at home on the season for Leon Rice's Broncos. You have to go back to the opener of last year since Boise State has been beat at home. So at 22 consecutive wins here in Boise, it is the nation's longest active home winning streak.
They've done a terrific job of enhancing this atmosphere. Leon Rice took the program over 14 years ago, and he told a story that when his boys first got here, they were 5th, 6th, 7th grade. They had come from Gonzaga. They didn't know what to expect. The first game, the crowd was quiet. There wasn't a lot to get excited about. Well, that's completely changed. A terrific atmosphere in Boise now at ExtraMile Arena.
Seeking a 3rd straight trip to the NCAA tournament, which would be a Boise State program record. Right now, our Jerry Palm projects them as an 8 seed, and they scheduled up big time in the non-conference to put themselves in position for an NCAA tournament at-large bid if necessary.
They did. They played at Clemson. Then they were able to face Virginia Tech and Butler in one of those multi-team events. They didn't quite win any of those games on that East Coast swing, but they learned a lot about themselves. The game maybe that they let slip that they would love to have back is they lost to Washington State in the Spokane Arena right before Christmas.
You saw North Texas on that graphic, one of the nation's best teams at home. This Boise State team beat North Texas. Rodriguez goes to the deck to get it. That buzzer was on the other end. Disregard. Rodriguez, the aggressive defender who leads the Mountain West Conference in steals.
Terrific defender a season ago, but he's really added some offensive versatility to his game. Robert Whaley finds some space on the interior. Physical bruiser. He's played really well as of late for Kevin Kruger.
UNLV comes out of the timeout with Thomas and Johnson on the floor together, so essentially 2 point guards for the Runnin' Rebels. First action for Cam Martin for the Broncos, the 7th-year senior. Yeah, that's right. Abo off the window. Cam Martin, the 7th-year senior. 2 years at Kansas, both red shirts. Won a national title. Floater won't go for Johnson. There's Whaley on the offensive glass, and one. Rob Whaley, back-to-back buckets for UNLV.
If there's one player on the Runnin' Rebel roster that can match the physicality that Boise State plays with night in and night out, that is Whaley Jr. Martin gets caught not blocking him out. Whaley is able to clean up the mess, get the finish. Previous possession for Boise State, Abo, the nice attack and finish, but I've had Boise State already a couple times this season, Carter, but regardless, every time you say seventh-year senior,
right,
it brings a head-scratching moment trying to figure out the math again.
Jacksonville State, 3 years Missouri Southern State, 2 years redshirt at Kansas. So yeah, I mean, when you're Max Rice and you're a sixth-year senior and you're not even the old man on the roster for Boise State. In this odd era of college basketball, the extra year of eligibility because of the COVID year, add in a couple of redshirt years. That's a tie-up. Meadow, it's going to be possession to UNLV, but Andrew Meadow, the 6'7" freshman, gets tied up. Rodriguez continues aggressive D.
Terrific start for UNLV. Lots of guys matching the physicality of Boise State, and Degenhart Thomas, for a freshman, cool under pressure, doesn't turn it over, does a great job getting them into their offensive sets.
Whaley wants it on the block. Whaley backing down on Cam Martin. Whaley off the window, and Rob Whaley Jr. off the bench has taken over this game for UNLV. Seven points off the bench for the junior from Farmington, Utah. And now Whaley defending on the other end against Martin. Here comes the double, kick it out. Anderson lines up a three. Martin has the offensive rebound, and there is the hustle from Cam Martin on the offensive glass. Whaley will come to screen for Thomas. Slip it. Keelan Boone tries a three. Into the hands of Abo. Abo pulls up from two. That's a top two.
A terrific read and drag screen pick and roll situations there from Abo. He's got such a high release, the ability to shoot over the defender, whether the defender is there or not, doesn't even come into play most of the times.
7 early points for Chibuzo Abo, who has 10 straight double-digit scoring games. Thomas gives it to Hicks on the run. Brooklyn Hicks, the freshman from Seattle, with a nifty attack.
He's starting to play a little bit more as of late against New Mexico 2 games ago. 8 minutes, 5 points off the bench. He's an aggressive off-the-dribble attacker.
Johnson called for the foul, over-aggressive on defense.
Well, Hicks is still a little bit of a work in progress as far as shooting the ball, but he puts the ball on the deck, he attacks, he's crafty finishing in a number of different ways. A really good player out of the state of Washington.
Whiting in at point guard for Boise State, and this is just stealing a little break for Roddy Anderson. He's barely come off the court in the last few games for Boise State.
Well, he's starting to really understand what Leon Rice wants out of that point guard position, but Jace Whiting has struggled as of late, so he hasn't really been able to give him some help.
Whaley picks it up and hammers it down. Whaley has 9 points off the bench, and UNLV has an early 6-point lead on the Broncos at home.
Turnovers have led to a couple of easy buckets for the Runnin' Rebels. Boise State with Anderson on the bench. Whiting's got to be able to get them into good offense.
3 early turnovers for Boise State, none by UNLV.
Well, it goes to how each of these teams prepare defensively. UNLV more attacking, try to create steals and block shots, where Boise State is more contained defense.
And here comes UNLV on the run again. Webster, there's Whaley again. College College basketball's hottest hand is Rob Whaley Jr. An incredible start off the bench for UNLV. 11 points for Whaley. And UNLV has gotten off to the hot start you said they needed.
They've taken this crowd almost completely out of it. Whaley, a big reason why.
Rice long three. Offensive rebound from Meadow. Second chance for the Broncos. Stanley nearly turns it over again. Banging with Caleb Boone. Stanley off the window. Fight for the rebound. Won by Jackie Johnson. How does he come out there with the basketball?
Smallest man on the floor, willing to stick his nose in there. That's what you've got to do if you're going to come out with a win on the road in this conference. You've got to find ways to get extra possessions.
Whaley draws the double. So get it out of Whaley's hands now, the strategy for Boise State.
Well, they will double on occasion, but I don't think that was necessarily the plan against Whaley, who only averages 4 a game coming into tonight.
Double on Caleb Boone forces the miss. Stanley has the rebound. Jace Whiting finds Rice for 3. Max Rice with a needed response for Boise State.
Needed is right. If there is one guy you must find in transition if you're UNLV, that is Max Rice. The ultimate green light from a good 7-8 feet beyond the arc that time.
First bucket of the game for Rice, who averages 12 points per game. Caleb Boone wants it on the post again. Instead, it's Webster on Rice. Webster on the run, off the window. Tough finish for Justin Webster, the 5th-year senior.
That is a good sign for Kevin Kruger. Webster has struggled. Last 4, only 3 points per game, 4 of 19 combined from the field. But last year against Boise State, a terrific career high, 18 points with 5 made threes.
Stanley gathers. Whaley has a block. Doing it on the offensive end. And then Whaley with the big block. It's been the Rob Whaley show with the running Rebels out to the hot start.
The junior from Farmington, Utah, has been a problem for Boise State. Has come off the bench and provided a spark. 11 points, a near perfect stretch for that young man. We got a good one. Don't go anywhere.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. What's your beef? And by AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Max Rice in his 6th year playing for Dad Leon here at Boise State. Cade is a redshirt freshman for Boise State as well. Kevin Kruger played 1 year for Lawn, then was an assistant. There is an emerging point guard in Spokane, Washington, Lucas Dickow.
That brings back a lot of good memories. Coached my son Lucas in a group from 3rd grade all the way up through just this past offseason at AAU. He is a junior at Mount Spokane, where Tyson Degenhart from Boise State went to high school. But it's not easy coaching at this level, the college level, your son. Lon Kruger did it with Kevin Kruger, as we saw, and Leon Rice does a tremendous job with Max Rice as well.
You saw the number there for Rob Whaley Jr. When he scored 11 on Saturday versus Utah State, it was a breakout performance. He was also great defensively. But 11 points in the early going for Whaley in this one. He's just 1 off of his career high. Still 9 minutes to go in the first half.
And he's done it by energy. Getting out, running in transition, creating easy opportunities, and then being active on the glass. And when you do that, good things happen. He's deserving of that water break and that electrolyte drink he's got on the bench there.
11 points in 7 minutes of action for Rob Whaley Jr. Caleb Boone couldn't corral the rebound, so a second chance here for Boise State. Rice blocked from behind. Caleb Boone gets a block shot. That's his 24th of the season. Dejon Thomas Jr. sets it up for UNLV. Keelan Boone looking for the high-low with brother Caleb. Thomas, good feed inside for Caleb Boone. Draws the defense and draws a foul. Looks like it's on Max Rice. That'll be his first.
You watch games to prepare for broadcasts, and you see the control that Dejon Thomas has on film, but when you see him in person, you just get the sense of a true point guard. He delivers the ball on time and on target. It can be one-handed. It can be with both hands. He just has great spatial awareness. A terrific delivery that time to Caleb Boone.
Now here's another discussion as to whether that was a shooting foul or whether it was on the floor, and Leon Rice is going to lose this argument as well. Remember, he lost one earlier when he thought that Max Rice had made a bucket. Now here's Caleb Boone to the free throw line for 2 on what was ruled a shooting foul on this end of the floor.
Well, if the one against Max Rice was not in the act of shooting, and this one is, I think Leon has a little bit of an argument there.
And for UNLV fans who were, let's just say, disappointed in some calls laid down the stretch against Utah State, maybe something balances out.
Yeah, that Utah State game, wow. You were on the call that night, and that had to have been a tough pill to swallow for a Runnin' Rebel fan.
5-point play with 8 seconds to go to extend the nation's longest winning streak at the time for Utah State. Broncos trying to keep pace undefeated atop the Mountain West with Utah State. Plays at New Mexico tonight. Stanley draws 3 defenders. It's poked away by Johnson out of bounds. Off one of the Rebels. 5 to shoot here. So top defense from UNLV. Both ends of the floor running Rebels out to an 8-point lead. College basketball on CBS Sports Network presented by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. The UNLV Runnin' Rebels, coming off a heartbreaking loss to Utah State on Saturday, have responded with an early 8-point lead on Boise State. These Runnin' Rebels return to our air next Tuesday as they host Air Force. Tip-off begins at 11 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. And what is a deep Mountain West Conference in 2023-2024, including, I mean, you can't sleep on Air Force, and you certainly can't sleep on Ethan Taylor playing 39 minutes a game. Hard to top that.
It is, especially when you think about Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs being at altitude. He's got to be in tremendous shape. 39 minutes. That's impressive. And that's a hard team to prepare for. Joe Scott runs Princeton offense where there's so much emphasis on spacing and back cuts and coming together of screens. Really tough to prepare for them.
Rice off the catch. With a shot clock winding down, Rice had to heave it out of the timeout. That was a good look for Rice. But it's the Rebels on the run again. Rodriguez lost it. UNLV has yet to turn the basketball over. Plenty of time here to Thomas to reset it. I mean, Thomas plays beyond his years. He's supposed to be a high school senior, reclassified to play at Dad's alma mater, UNLV.
Over 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, which would be good for a senior, let alone a freshman in college.
Keelan Boone, tough fadeaway for Keelan Boone. That's 5 points. And UNLV has made 5 of its last 6 from the floor.
Boise State's got to get better at that end of the floor. On the season, they force opponents to about 43% from the field. So Runnin' Rebels approaching 60% from the field tonight.
Stanley has an answer. Still UNLV by 8. And this is a Boise State team built on defense. You look at the metrics numbers, they're in the top 20 defensively in the country. And UNLV has had their way on this end of the floor. Here's Caleb Boone, at the rim by Stanley. There's the Bronco D.
Bronco D was active and engaged, ready to rotate that time on the weak side. Actually, it wasn't the weak side. Stanley got beaten, recovered. Looked as if, from my vantage point, that it was somebody from the weak side. Tremendous extra effort from Stanley, who could have given up the easy 2 there.
Degenhart scoreless so far for Boise State. There's a foul away from the basketball on Caleb Boone. That'll be his first personal, but
well, you can tell what UNLV's game plan is they want to limit Degenhart and Stanley's easy touches. The previous possession was the first time Stanley caught it in space without a double. Every time Degenhart's been in the scoring threat of a position, the defense has been aware. They've either dug down, got the ball out of his hands, or been ready to double.
The surprise star of the game, Rob Whaley Jr. back in for UNLV. Deep three won't go from Stanley, and an easy rebound for Keelan Boone. Stanley's made only 4 threes on the season. And now here's Rodriguez, rims out. Anderson trying to push it ahead, tipped away by Rodriguez. Rebels have numbers. Webster, wide open transition three, won't go. Thomas hit the deck. There's Whaley, who has his career high 13 points in the first half.
Well, the turnover from Anderson is what led to that opportunity. You want to throw ahead as a point guard, but you got to throw it where somebody can do something with it.
Easy bucket inside off a good look. Abo has the finish.
Abo's been tremendous this season. Transferred from Texas Tech, where he spent 2 years, but his numbers across the board have improved in every phase from last year to this.
Out of bounds. Who's it off of? Off of Whaley, Boise State ball.
Well, Robert Whaley has been the story. His activity on the glass, getting extra opportunities. And then for Boise State, Stanley, typically the recipient of the pass that time, threading the needle to Abo. Great recognition. If the running Rebels are going to lay it out, deny passes, you've got to be able to make them pay with a backdoor cut like Abo did on that possession.
UNLV is plus 10 on points in the paint, 18-8. Abo, that's a contested three, and he nails it. Jackie Johnson III was right on him, but Abo hits it anyway.
That's one of those that you're there, but you're not there because Abo's 6'7" with a high release.
Stanley has a rebound, and then Rodriguez tips it away. Going to be a foul called on Luis Rodriguez. Going for another steal in the backcourt. Rodriguez has his first.
Get another look. Jackie Johnson is there, but he's not there because Abo at 6'7" has an 8-inch advantage. The high pocket, the high release, knocks it down over Jackie Johnson.
Boise State's made 10 baskets in the game, 5 of them from Abo, including a pair of threes. Headed into Stanley on the post. Whaley defending. Nice skip pass. Abo has another look. Long rebound out of bounds off Whaley. Boise State ball.
Little bit of a heat check there from Abo, but the way he's shooting, Leon Rice, I'm sure, does not mind. Be surprised to see another opportunity for Abo. Maybe settle pin down, get him off a double, see if he can get another bucket.
Degenhart misses again. Tap for the rebound. Stanley keeps it alive. How about a third chance on this trip for Boise State? Degenhart attacks. Tries to Euro his way in. Touched by the running Rebels. Bronco ball. Still 11 to shoot. Degenhart, who averages 15.5 points per game, scoreless so far in this one.
A couple field goal attempts, so he hasn't been able to get free, but Abo's been able to get free. Nice baseline out of bounds set there.
Jackie Johnson fouls the jump shooter, and that's the second foul on Johnson.
Just as on the previous one where he elevated over the top and knocked it down from 3, Johnson's there, but he crowds underneath Abo, not allowing him free space to land. Good call from the official on the baseline.
Abo has been one of the pleasant surprises in the Mountain West Conference this year. You mentioned 2 years at Texas Tech, but he was, let's just say, underutilized as a Red Raider. There's a reason you entered the transfer portal there. He has been tremendous for Boise State, the leading three-point shooter in the league.
And not only has he been a tremendous shooter, over 45% from beyond the arc, but he's been really consistent. Only 2 games this season in single digits. The consistency of him and Tyson Degenhart are foundational pieces for Leon Rice. The emergence of Stanley has really been key to this winning of 9 of 10 games.
Keelan Boone shot fake, step in, passes on it. Webster passes on the 3 as well, and it's a tough floater. That's a big response after a 7-0 run for Boise State.
His reputation is as a shooter, so understanding defenses fly at you, The ability to stay on balance and get to that floater in the paint is needed. Good finish there from Justin Webster.
Degenhart dribble handoff for Rice, who turns the corner. Rodriguez right there on Abo on the catch. And Abo just lost it straight up in the air. Rodriguez going for the loose ball. Picks up his second personal foul. So 7 straight for the Broncos, but UNLV responds.
Justin Webster put him in the spin cycle, floater over the top. Broncos trying to get back in it.
Rob Whaley Jr.'s career high was 12 points earlier this year against Division II Bethesda. This is a whole different category. 13 points in 11 minutes on the road at Boise State.
If you're going to win on the road in this league, the Mountain West, which has been spectacular this year, you have to have somebody making an impact. Robert Whaley's been that guy, and Run the Rebels have needed it because they've had injury issues going back to the preseason with practice time.
Shane Noel has missed most of the year. Keelan Boone was ineligible for the first 7 games until that 2-time transfer ruling was struck down. Jalen Hill is a really good player for UNLV. Had a wrist injury, came back, had an ACL tear. So they've needed more points off the bench. And in this game, Rob Whaley Jr. and coming off a 11-point performance against Utah State, has his career high in the first half on the road against the Broncos. They've also dealt with Isaiah Cottrell having a shoulder injury. He was expected to be the starting center this year for UNLV, so it has been a bit of a hard luck season for the Running Rebels just personnel-wise. Rice stops, misses the floater. Big rebound for Stanley. Stick back. Omar Stanley hustling on the boards on both ends.
And that's where I think he's at his best. On the offensive glass, as well as in screen and roll situations where you can use his quickness in either of those scenarios.
7 first-half rebounds for Omar Stanley. Keelan Boone looking for Whaley on the post. Tipped away. There's the first UNLV turnover of the game. And it leads to Rice on the run out. And Boise State has cut it to 1 after trailing by as many as 10.
We talked about it at the last break that UNLV hadn't turned the ball over yet. That first turnover ignites this ExtraMile Arena crowd because of the breakaway layup there from Max Rice.
Whaley down the baseline, rejected by Stanley. UNLV hangs on to it, however, and Hicks has a response. Travel called, wipe out the bucket. Back-to-back turnovers by UNLV. That looked like a big-time response basket from Brooklyn Hicks after the emphatic rejection from Stanley. Anderson gets it back from Rice. Skip pass. Rice has to go up to get it. And get it back from Stanley. Degenhart still scoreless in 15 minutes of action. Dyson Degenhart on Whaley off the window. Whaley clears it.
Second time now, Whaley's done a nice job on dribble penetration from Degenhart, not giving him a direct line drive to the rim.
Abo guarding Thomas, and now they switch off with Rice. So Max Rice on the freshman Thomas, who splits it, ripped away. 3 straight turnovers by UNLV. Anderson dubs it on. Degenhart fouled, and a chance to give Boise State its first lead of the game.
Anderson, terrific job pushing in transition. Gets it to Degenhart, who's expecting and anticipating the foul. When you know that pressure's coming, make sure you sell that foul, even if there's limited contact.
Coming up on AT&T at the half, Brent Stover, Wally Zerbiak, Roy Hibbert, and Gary Parrish standing by in our New York studio to get you up to speed on today's college basketball action coming up on AT&T at the half. Degenhart's first point ties it at 30. Boise State's leading scorer gives the Broncos their first lead of the game. Timeout, Boise State. From 10 down in the first half, the Broncos have done it with D to take a 31-30 lead. We're back in 30 seconds. It's a 13-2 Boise State run to take the lead on UNLV. And no surprise with the way this team and this program is built. They've done it with defense, turning UNLV over on 3 straight possessions.
Exactly right, Carter. They have built this tremendous stretch as of late with their defensive prowess. They don't give up open shots. They don't give easy looks. They're tremendous on the glass. They typically contain, but when an opponent makes a mistake, they will have active hands. They've created 3 turnovers the last possessions, as you've mentioned, allowing them to get this crowd back into it and get out in transition.
When opponents are under 65 points, Boise State is 10-0. 1 minute to go in a wild first half. Thomas misses the 3. Anderson has the rebound. Roddy Anderson, the third, takes it himself end-to-end. Another rebound inside. Stanley misses, tapped out. Now the Rebels on the run. Thomas takes it himself and one. He takes a tough tumble, but a confident breakout for Degenhart Thomas Jr.
Great job of taking the contact to the big, in case Tyson Degenhart, as a young guard, and you know you've got a bigger player converging on you in that situation. You be the first one to create contact. That way you can get the ball up on the glass on your terms. Unfortunately, though, got knocked off balance just a little bit. Wasn't able to brace or catch himself on that fall. Hopefully he's all right. Nice finish.
John Hampton, the official down there, giving Thomas a little extra time. 35 minutes per game, most among NCAA freshmen. 6.5 assists per game. That's the big number for Thomas. 8th in the nation, first among freshmen with 6.6 assists per game.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, he should be a senior in high school right now at Liberty in Las Vegas. He was able to graduate early. Kevin Kruger essentially handed him the ball and said, let's go. He is that good of a point guard, that good of a player.
Degenhart lines up a 3 and buries it. There's the first field goal for Degenhart. So 5 points, a part of the Boise State run here at the end of the half for Tyson Degenhart. Timeout UNLV with the shot clock turned off. Well, a quiet first half for Degenhart, but couple of made free throws gets him going, and a made 3. Boise State back on top. Degenhart has his first 5 points. Broncos lead it by 1. Boise State's leading scorer, Tyson Degenhart, starting to get on a roll. He's a young man that you know well from the Spokane area.
At Mount Spokane High School. My kids go there. My daughter was friends with him throughout high school, and my son Lucas, there was a graphic earlier, plays for the same program as Tyson did. Terrific player. He has been a spark for this comeback with the Broncos here to end the first half.
And now on defense, Degenhart tips that one out of bounds. So UNLV keeps it, but Degenhart nearly comes away with a steal. So we'll see what UNLV has drawn up for the last 22 seconds of the half, coming out of the timeout.
Expect the ball in Degenhart Thomas's hands. Pick and roll to end would be my guess.
Thomas guarded by Anderson. Inside to Caleb Boone, draws the D. Whaley at the high post. Under 10 to go. Kick to the corner, triple, goes. It rattles home from Justin Webster. Just the third made 3 of the half, but UNLV on top. Anderson even at the end of the half. And UNLV takes a 2-point lead to the break. The Runnin' Rebels led by as many as 10. That is the end of the first half. 36-34, UNLV on Boise State. After the break, we'll send you to Brent and the gang in New York with AT&T at the half. You're watching college basketball on CBS Sports Network, presented by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. Boise State's won 22 straight at ExtraMile Arena. but they trail by 2 against UNLV. Carter Blackburn with Dan Dickow. A 10-point lead by UNLV in the first half. Boise State was able to fight back and make this a tight one at the break. You talked about before this one, Tim, UNLV needed to get off to a hot start. I would say mission accomplished for the Runnin' Rebels, especially Rob Whaley Jr.
Yeah, they got off to a terrific start, took the crowd out of this, and then a couple minutes into the game, Rob Whaley checked in, and boy, was he ever good. A career-high 13 points in the first half alone. Boise State really struggled matching his strength and his energy on the low block, as well as on the glass. But for the Broncos, Buzo Abo was spectacular. 14 points, 5 of 8 from the field. Regardless of who was defending him, it didn't matter because he just elevated over the top and knocked down jump shots left and right.
Let's take a look at the game summary brought to you by AT&T. The big advantage, points in the paint for the UNLV Runnin' Rebels, 22-12. But look at the bench points, 15-2. That's what happens when Rob Whaley Jr. goes off for 13 points, his career high. Point out another number from that first half. Omar Stanley had 8 rebounds in the first half for Boise State. So already 6 lead changes in this game. Boise State, the nation's longest home winning streak at 22 straight, back to the beginning of last year. So UNLV has brought their fight on the road. This is just the 3rd true road game of the year for UNLV. But they are testing Boise State, who's also undefeated in Mountain West Conference play. Get to Stanley at the high post, backing it, blocked by Caleb Boone. Good defensive start for UNLV.
Anytime Stanley's caught the ball, the Runnin' Rebels have done a nice job of mixing up coverages, doubling at times as well as digging down. Their time making Stanley see a crowd.
Caleb Boone wants it on the offensive end. Degenhart denies on the post. Try it again. So why not reverse it? Webster attacks on Stanley. Lost it out of bounds. Rebels keep it with just 4 to shoot.
Caleb Boone, good job getting his hand on it and then staying vertical on the shot attempt. Low clock now, 4 on the shot clock. See what UNLV's got in their back pocket.
Into the corner, Rodriguez gives it up. Caleb Boone has to hoist it. An air ball. Caleb Boone goes to Rodriguez, just frustrated his teammate passed to him. Get a foul call? This foul call was so late.
Number 1, Omar Stanley.
Gonna double check, so foul called on Stanley.
His first personal, first team.
You talk about a bailout foul.
Good job defending the initial action. And as Boone was releasing it, Stanley clearly gets him. I don't know about that from that angle. The other angle, it looked like he may have got his arm a little bit. We get another look at it.
After review, it is
They're also looking at the feet, I believe, to make sure it's a 2 or a 3. It should be 3 free throws.
Wow. That is the ultimate bailout. Shot clock winding down. Caleb Boone, who is not a 3-point shooter, fouled by Stanley, so 3 free throws coming, and obviously Leon Rice not happy to begin the second half.
Well, it's disheartening because you do a great job on the initial possession defending, and then 4 seconds, baseline out of bounds, low clock, you take away the first option, kick it to the guy you want to direct the ball to, and Caleb Boone out at the 3-point line, and then he gets bailed out with a foul. Gets to the line for 3 free throws, where he is a good free throw shooter, 76% on the year.
Not this trip. Boone misses his first 2. Misses all for 3, but there's his brother Keelan Boone with the offensive rebound off the missed free throws. So UNLV gets another chance. Caleb Boone wants it on Stanley again. Backing down in the post, draws the deeds, tipped away. Loose ball, won by Boise State. Rice with the run out. Rice dumps it off. Degenhart rejected by Caleb Boone. Standing there for the follow, and a foul. An all-out fight for the loose ball, and rebound won by the Broncos.
A stroke of luck for Boise State with Caleb Boone blocking Degenhart's layup. allowing Stanley to pick up the loose ball and get fouled on the putback attempt. But that's the type of effort that is going to get Boise State back into this game. They showed it at the end of the first half. It generated excitement with the crowd. Made free throw allows the Broncos to go back up by 1.
9 rebounds now for Omar Stanley. And our 7th lead change early in the second half. Thomas gets a screen from Keelan Boone. Toss it back. Keelan on the run. Left it short. Another fight for the rebound. Tap out into the hands of Webster.
With how active UNLV's been on the glass today as Keelan Boone knocks down the corner 3. With how active the Running Rebels have been, it makes you wonder why they've been such a poor rebounding team throughout the season.
And Boise State has been excellent on the boards, including plus 19 versus Nevada. Dominant on the boards. Webster comes away with the steal, stripping it away from Abo on the roll. Caleb Boone wants it again. Watch. Stanley D'ing up. Caleb Boone forces a turnover.
Good ball movement there from UNLV. Swing, swing. Find the open shooter in the corner. Keelan Boone knocks it down. Tell you what, if you're going to go get a win on the road in this conference, you got to have multiple guys step up and have big performances. You got to do the little things like get offensive rebounds, take care of the basketball.
Rice comes to get it. Backs Rice in the paint. Floats out. Keelan Boone with the rebound. Rodriguez, quick trigger. Degenhart there for the board. Rodriguez going for the steal. Stanley splits the D and draws another trip to the free throw line. Omar Stanley getting right through UNLV's defense.
Rodriguez thought he had a steal. Stanley was able to evade the attempt from Rodriguez, and then the lane opens up. Whaley tried to get out of the way.
2 shots coming for Omar Stanley.
Boise State 5 for 5 from the free throw line so far in this one. And there's your miss. So Boise State trying to go to 4-0 in the Mountain West Conference. Utah State undefeated atop. They are playing a tough road game at New Mexico. It is a very deep Mountain West Conference this year.
It's an extremely deep league. Boise State was second in the preseason poll. They are playing back to their expected form in league play, but as it stands now, there are 6 teams in the top 50 of the net, which is one of the analytical tools that the selection committee really focuses on to determine the NCAA groupings.
Keelan Boone with the left hand finishes. Keelan Boone after the made 3 attacks off the bounce, and he has 10 points for UNLV.
What an addition has Keelan Boone been, as has Caleb Boone, but brothers both started their career at Oklahoma State. Keelan needed a change of scenery, went to Pacific for a year, back together. Kevin Kruger told us a little bit about the story during the shoot-around. It's really cool to see them finishing out their college career together.
Degenhart, that's a tough 2 for Tyson Degenhart. First points of the second half.
His footwork and his balance allowed him to create space there through the defensive pressure.
7 now for Degenhart after the cold start. Kick to the corner, Luis Rodriguez buries the triple, and here's UNLV back up by 5.
Rodriguez has been quiet tonight. Only his second made basket. 2 threes for 6 points, but as of late, his last 7, he's been really good. Almost 16 points, 7.5 rebounds a game.
Into the corner, Degenhart. That's 5 straight for Degenhart to pull the Broncos within 2.
Back in double figures is Degenhart. Every game this year but one against Clemson, where he struggled with foul trouble, he has been in double figures.
Whaley on the offensive glass. Whaley gets the tip in. 15 in the game off the bench for Rob Whaley Jr.
Boise State's had no answer for his physicality on the interior. Does a really good job of using his lower body to carve out extra space.
Stanley tries a three. Leaves it well short. Boarded by Rodriguez. Why not get it to Whaley again? So now Anderson doubling down. Gets the tip, but Whaley there to pick it up. Whaley attacks on Stanley and draws another foul on Omar Stanley. Degenhart after the slow start, leading Boise State in the second half.
Dual threat, can score it on the inside with his footwork, his fundamental base, but don't forget him at the three-point line. He will make you pay. We got a terrific one in Boise.
UNLV trying to hand Boise State its first loss in Mountain West Conference play after nearly beating Utah State on Saturday. The Aggies trail right now against New Mexico as we check out the news and notes, but Great Osibor is a candidate for Mountain West Conference Player of the Year. Mountain West, one of two conferences with 4 teams with 14-plus wins, and not just on the hardwood, but on the gridiron as well. 2 outstanding performances from Mountain West Conference alums. Jordan Love. Remember when the question was, how would Love handle quarterbacking the Green Bay Packers this year? Well, the answer versus Dallas with 3 TDs. Josh Allen, the former Wyoming Cowboy, had 4 total touchdowns in that Monday win for Buffalo against Pittsburgh. So you got Love and Allen, Mountain West Conference alums, moving on to the divisional round. 2 very good performances wild card weekend.
Yeah, pretty interesting job by both front offices, the Packers and the Bills, knowing they're in cold weather environments, drafting quarterbacks that play in Logan, Utah, which can get pretty dang cold, as well as Wyoming, which can get pretty dang cold towards the end of football season.
That was a heady pick for the Bills. I mean, that was part of the decision process. Could you win a playoff game in cold temperatures? And Josh Allen has definitively said yes.
So I got a question for you.
Sure.
With all that snow and the blizzard that came through Buffalo, if you were in Buffalo, would you have gone and shoveled snow like all the fans, the Bills Mafia?
I would have stayed cozy in my hotel room, probably.
Because I know you call football as well, so
right.
You wouldn't have pitched in, huh?
But the hardy Buffalo fans certainly did their part.
Gotcha.
That was an all-around impressive performance by Buffalo. The community and the team. Impressive performance here from Tyson Degenhart, who now has 12 points, and he's responded after the cold shooting start. Thomas turns the corner, takes it himself. Fight for the rebound, won by Anderson. Rice attacking on Thomas. Rice tries the floater, won't go. Thomas and Rice get tangled up. And Rice and Thomas hit the deck. It's going to be tie-up. Possession arrow to UNLV, but
the fall from Thomas looked worse than it really was, as he and Rice got tangled up. But, you know, that's one of the things you got to love about Max Rice. His creativeness. He'll take deep threes. He'll take scoop shots. Doesn't have the best or most creative ball handling skills, but he finds a way to impact the game. All-league player a season ago. I would imagine as his numbers climb back up in the right direction, he's going to be a strong consideration with the way Boise State's playing this year.
I wasn't even sure what to call that last shot from Rice.
Scoop shot, a flip shot, something.
And here he is defending Johnson on the other end.
Great defense.
5 to shoot. Johnson trying to take him off the bounce. Anderson rips it in. Out of bounds. Touched by whom? Touched by UNLV. So it's Boise State basketball after Anderson rips it away from Jackie Johnson.
Terrific defense from Max Rice to shut off the initial penetration. Climbed back in to Johnson's space at half court, but on the second penetration, all Boise State defenders were ready to react.
Out of bounds, turnover Boise State. Give it back to UNLV. Rodney Anderson III pointing to his head as if to say, come on, Andrew Meadow.
That's always a frustrating one. I know I, as a player, did that multiple times. When you know you don't have shots, sometimes you'll catch it on a split step so you can explode off the catch to your attack. But when you're in the corner on the sideline, you got to be careful.
Hicks nearly stripped by Anderson again. So Thomas regains it. looking for Caleb Boone on the post, matched up with Cam Martin, and it is a fight off the block. Shot clock winding down as well. Thomas has to heave it and buries it. Big heart, big shot. Dedan Thomas Jr.
Big time from the freshman. Limping a little bit as he went back towards the defensive end of the floor. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but huge shot to extend the lead.
He's only made 16 threes on the year, so they play off of Thomas some. Don't play off of Rice. Behind the screen, Max Rice hits the triple.
You gotta love players who want shots in tough moments. Max Rice is one of those guys.
Tipped away by Anderson again. UNLV keeps it. A good second half for Max Rice on both ends of the floor.
First, another look at Dedan Thomas. Staring down Roddy Anderson, knocks down the triple, and then in return, Dedan Thomas, you go under the screen. Max Rice is going to make you pay. Stops behind. And with his unlimited range, that is a deep three.
Into Caleb Boone. Off the inbound from Webster. Rice comes down on the double. And knocks it away, but gets a foul called on Max Rice. That'll be his second.
Broncos, number 12, Max Rice, his second personal, third team.
They've mixed up the coverages on Boone in post-ups. They've doubled some this time. They were ready, so if he backed down Martin into a jump hook territory, Rice would be ready. Just a little bit too much on the convergence.
Go right back into Boone. Trying to take advantage of Cam Martin. There's a flop, no call. Boone misses the dunk. Degenhart fights for the rebound, and a foul is called. Looks like Caleb Boone. It is Caleb Boone, and that is his third. So a wild one at the rim, won by Boise State, a huge foul. Martin, no flop called. It's a foul on Boone. College basketball on CBS Sports Network, presented by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. A 3-point lead for UNLV on the road against Boise State. The Runnin' Rebels led by as many as 10 in the first half. We have had 8 lead changes already in this game. Tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, we bring you another Hoops triple header as UMass goes head-to-head against Loyola Chicago, followed by a battle in the Missouri Valley as Northern Iowa visits Belmont. Then the Nevada Wolfpack squares off against the San Diego State Aztecs. Catch all the action here on CBS Sports Network. Ledee has been terrific for the Aztecs this year, the leading scorer in the Mountain West Conference.
He had some great stretches down the second half of the season a year ago when they made the title game, but he's got to be in consideration for All-American awards this year if San Diego State keeps it up. But Caleb Boone has struggled, and I think you got to give Boise State a lot of credit. They have sent a crowd. They've doubled from different angles, different players. They've made life difficult from him. 1 of 4 from the field, but he's also made it difficult on himself. 1 of 5 from the free throw line.
Jace Whiting running point for Boise State, so Roddy Anderson the third on the bench for now. Whiting gets it into Degenhart. Keelan Boone defending Degenhart. Now here comes a double from Whaley. So Degenhart kicks to the corner. Abo tries a 3. There's a good look. Rodriguez has the rebound.
Not good spacing on that possession for Boise State. Degenhart had a one-on-one situation to step off the block, and Martin flashed to the middle of the key, bringing in extra defenders, so no straight-line drive opportunities were available.
Webster just took it easily against Whiting to the rim. UNLV back by 5.
Important stretch with Anderson on the bench. Whiting has struggled, hasn't scored in his last 6 games. He's a capable shooter, but he hasn't played with a lot of confidence as of late.
Thomas on the bench for UNLV, so both teams have the backup point guard on the floor for this critical stretch. Cam Martin, kick to the corner, and Degenhart fouled by Whaley. 3 free throws coming from Tyson Degenhart.
He didn't agree with it, that's for sure, but when Degenhart gave the ball to Martin in the short corner. Whaley kind of got stuck in no man's land. He didn't double. He didn't stay at home with his. Late on the closeout, enough contact for the official to blow his whistle.
That's the third on Whaley, so both Caleb Boone and Rob Whaley Jr. have 3 personal fouls, and Tyson Degenhart now has 13 points in the game with 2 free throws coming.
It'll be interesting to see if Whaley stays in. He's been so good tonight, a career high 16 points. He's been a difficult cover for Boise State.
Degenhart 2 years ago, Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Year. Last year, all Mountain West Conference first team, leading Boise State to its 2nd straight NCAA tournament appearance. Broncos in position for another trip to the tournament this year. It would be a program record 3rd straight trip to the NCAA tournament. Boise State can pull it off again.
Still searching for their first program win in the NCAA tournament. 2 years ago, lost to a really good Memphis team. A season ago, lost to Northwestern in the first round, and that was a difficult one if you were a Bronco fan. Marcus Shaver, a good point guard from a season ago, sprained his ankle early in that one, so they didn't have a full ability to attack Northwestern the way they would have liked, but it's only a matter of time before Boise State advances to that 2nd round.
The point guards are back. Thomas for UNLV, Anderson for Boise State as Caleb Boone misses the dunk. Rice runs it into the front court and now throws it into the backcourt. It's a backcourt violation, not touched by UNLV. Abo had to run it down in the backcourt, turnover by the Broncos.
Max Rice claiming that it was deflected. Oh, we had the ability to see the replay above half court and to get another look at it. Looks like Rodriguez did deflect it.
So can UNLV take advantage of another break? The Boone twins, it's Keelan who pulls up. Caleb hits the deck and then gets the rebound while he's on the ground. That is a timeout granted UNLV. Caleb Boone with his back on the floor ends up with the basketball and gets a timeout granted as UNLV clings to a 2-point lead in Boise.
Well, it was Chibuzo Abo in the first half, keeping Boise State close in the second. It's been the Tyson Degenhart show, finishing with terrific footwork through contact, gets the corner 3 to knock down, and then will not be denied while he attacks on the baseline. 15 points, equaling his season average. You get a look at just how good he has been here in this second half. If Boise State is going to prevail, they are going to need more from somebody other than Tyson Degenhart in this second half.
It was about 15 minutes into the first half before Degenhart had his first bucket, so UNLV defended Boise State's leading scorer exceptionally well, and yet there's a 15 on the board, as you pointed out, right on the average.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind for UNLV, Whaley and Caleb Boone, each with 3 fouls, they will be assigned to guard Degenhart at some point down the stretch.
Double on Caleb Boone, doesn't miss this dunk. The 5th-year senior from Tulsa puts UNLV back up by 4.
Missed the previous one, wouldn't be denied there. Great footwork to create the angle.
Webster lost his mouthpiece on this position. There's Caleb Boone with the block on Stanley. Sending Rodriguez on the run. Euros his way in. Blocking foul is called. Rodriguez attacks. Foul is called on Degenhart.
Caleb Boone, good job there, spinning away from the pressure, up and under to elude the second defender, finish over the top. Wow. He's been quiet, but we'll see if that gets him going.
Rodriguez now with 7 points for UNLV, trying to make it 8 straight games double-figure scoring. And this was after a very cold shooting start for the former Ole Miss Rebel, now a UNLV running Rebel, and he misses the second.
I like how you did that. Rebel to rebel.
He played 4 years at Ole Miss, including a medical redshirt, so 2 years eligibility with UNLV. That counts as a lot these days. That is a foul on the floor before the shot by Stanley. It's on Webster, his second.
Foul called on UNLV, number 2, Justin Webster, his second personal.
5 team fouls now on UNLV, so
number 5,
baseline out of bounds for the
Broncos. Broncos ball.
Caleb Boone gets another break, going a little offense-defense substitution. Remember, he has 3 personals. Anderson, trouble getting it in. Bumped by Keelan Boone, going for the steal. That'll be the first on Keelan Boone, team foul number 6 on UNLV.
Well, Roddy Anderson got bailed out by the official calling the foul right there. Baseline out of bounds. I don't think a jump pass was in the cards when Leon Rice called that set.
Abo gets this one in a little more conventionally, and to Stanley. And now Rice comes to get it. Finds Stanley on the roll. Power dribble into the hands of Anderson off the deflection. Loose ball picked up by Keelan Boone with a nifty pass to Webster. Now Whaley throws it right to the official. And it's Boise State basketball. That was a tough handle for Marcus Pettigrew on the pick and roll.
Difficulties for both teams throwing it to the appropriate player on their team. First Anderson, then Whaley in transition. Guns it at the official's midsection.
Pettigrew was not expecting the hot pass.
He was not.
7 turnovers by UNLV. That one's the ugliest. Into the corner. Abo pumped play on. Rebound, stick back. Rice won't go. Degenhart, third chance. 2 offensive rebounds on the trip for Boise State.
If you're a young player out there, you got to watch Degenhart. His attention to detail. He's not the greatest of athletes as far as explosiveness, but he's always in the right spot at the right time. Tremendous footwork, high skill level, IQ.
Thomas nearly slips. Whaley wants it on the post and looks like Stanley fouls him. Trying to deny it. That's the 3rd personal on Omar Stanley.
You give a team like Boise State 3 opportunities, they're going to make you pay at some point. Rice corrals the first offensive rebound, can't convert. Degenhart gets the second and is able to finish at the rim.
Andrew Meadow reports back in.
Stanley gets a break. Andrew Meadow, the 6'7" freshman, back in for Boise State. 10 rebounds now for Stanley to go along with 7 points. Thomas takes it himself and hits. Thomas has hit a couple tough jumpers in this second half for UNLV, although he's still wincing down the floor. He's taking some tumbles.
He impresses me with his reading of the game. Anderson tries to go under on that little GHO dribble handoff on the baseline out of bounds. He reads it, stops behind, and calmly knocks down the jump shot.
Abo pulls up from 2. Long rebound, won by Rodriguez. Webster pulls off the reins and hands it to the freshman point guard, Degenhart Thomas Jr. Last year's Gatorade Player of the Year in Nevada. A huge recruiting get for UNLV, and the freshman playing beyond his years until he airballs it right into the hands of the Broncos. Degenhart trailing, attacks, spins on Whaley. Nice recovery by Whaley. Degenhart steps out of bounds. UNLV basketball. Good D from Whaley, but a big bucket from Degenhart Thomas Jr.
And Thomas Jr. continuing to show why he's one of the best freshmen in the country. Reads it, effortlessly knocks down the jumper.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network, presented by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. We've had 8 lead changes between UNLV and Boise State, but the Runnin' Rebels in command again, up by 5. Trying to hand Boise State its first Mountain West Conference loss of the season. Coming up next, join our crew in the studio as we highlight the latest hoops updates from around the country. Keep it here for Inside College Basketball on CBS Sports Network. Let's revisit Dan's keys to the game and grade them out thus far.
Well, they needed to get off to a good start. Did UNLV? They did. They took the crowd out of it early and then rebound. They have won that category up till now. Excuse me, they're competing in that category. For Boise State, contain Caleb Boone. They've done a nice job there. And turnover, Degenhart Thomas Jr. Only 2 turnovers, 2 assists, but Thomas has been battling a little bit of gimpiness. He's taken a number of physical shots throughout this game.
The most notable streak on the line is 22 straight home wins, the longest active streak in the NCAA back to the beginning of last year. Also on the line, Boise State has won 8 straight over UNLV, including 3 last year. In overtime, Boise State ended UNLV's season in the Mountain West Conference Tournament. So some dominant streaks in jeopardy right now for Boise State. Thomas off the screen from Whaley, picks it up with 6 to shoot, 5 to shoot. Keelan Boone heaves it right into the hands of Whaley. Can't stick it back. Tap ahead. Whaley gets it back this time. Rodriguez kept it alive. And Whaley finishes 18 in the game now for Rob Whaley Jr.
Monster of a game from him, active on the glass. Boise State's got to be frustrated. Another great defensive possession, but can't quite finish it out. 10 offensive rebounds now for UNLV.
Rice cut off on the baseline, lost it, but touched by Rodriguez. Oh, this was a just all-out fight won by Whaley.
Whaley, I mean, I'm glad I don't have to block him out. That time was able to corral the first one. Rodriguez tipped the second one back to him. Can't say enough about his performance tonight. That's the reason UNLV's up 7 with under 6.5 to go.
Rice takes Thomas off the bounce, misses in tight. With a shot clock winding down for Boise State. That is a shot clock violation. UNLV doing it on defense as well.
Well, we touched on it earlier. Just 2 different styles defensively. UNLV active in the passing lanes. They've got rim protection with the length that they have. Boise State, more of a contained defense where they make you score overhand and they do a great job rebounding. Neither one is more correct than the other. It just depends on the personnel that you have.
Rodriguez over Abo, boarded by Degenhart. Tyson Degenhart takes it himself through the defense from Luis Rodriguez. That's a tough bucket from Tyson Degenhart.
Put the team on your shoulders, go coast to coast. Nice finish eluding Webster and then getting it off the glass before Rodriguez has a chance to really challenge.
19 points now for Degenhart. Thomas takes a bump from Anderson. Trying to get it into Whaley in the post. Denied by Stanley. 5 to shoot. Webster on Degenhart to the rim. Lost it. That's another shot clock violation. So, shot clock violations on a couple of possessions on both ends.
The luxury of having a big who can put the ball on the deck and make decisions in transition was on full display there with Degenhart. And the last possession for Boise State, a tremendous job switching. Webster not able to finish through a crowd.
On Saturday, UNLV led Utah State by 13 and lost in the closing seconds as Utah State won in Las Vegas. Now a 10-point lead by UNLV in the first half has been whittled again to 3 by Boise State. Can the Broncos come from behind in the last 4:48? Thomas doubled. Rodriguez bails him out, and Rodriguez fouled on the floor before the shot. Looks like they'll call it on Anderson going for the steal. That's his first. 16 fouls on both sides now, so bonus the rest of the way for the Broncos and the running Rebels. That's advantage Boise State with the way they've shot free throws tonight. Keelan Boone on the wing. Gets it into twin brother Caleb Boone. Backing down on Stanley. No double comes, so Caleb Boone takes Omar Stanley.
Good patience, drop step away from the defense. Finish with the left. Boise State's limited his opportunities, but had a dunk a couple minutes earlier, and now that nice finish.
Johnson takes a pop from Stanley. Anderson fouled by Caleb Boone. That is his 4th personal.
And Boise State's done a nice job putting him in pick and roll situations, trying to put foul pressure on him. Get another look at Caleb Boone. If you're not going to double team him and give him 4 or 5 dribbles, that's asking a lot of Omar Stanley, because Caleb Boone can score on anybody in that one-on-one setting. Roddy Anderson has struggled with his decision-making at times, but good job recognizing you've got a backpedaling Caleb Boone who's already got 3 fouls. Attack him, put some foul pressure on, get the call, get to the line.
Anderson hits the first, so he gets the bonus. Here comes Rob Whaley Jr. as Caleb Boone subs out with the 4 personal fouls. Anderson's second spins out. Easy rebound for Rodriguez. The nation's longest home winning streak on the line in the last 4 minutes. Whaley at the high post wants it. Stanley cuts him off. Now here's the entry, poked by Stanley. Whaley through the double team, ripped away by Max Rice. Rice gets it back near midcourt. Looked like Abo got stepped on. It all ends up in the hands of Degenhart, who's found by Keelan Boone. Before the shot, 1-and-1 coming. It is anybody's basketball game with 3:29 to go and Boise. UNLV fighting for its second Mountain West Conference win. A 4-point edge with 3:29 to go. Time now for our Old Trapper Beef Jerky player of the game. Who else but Rob Whaley Jr. with a new career-high 18 points.
The second he checked in, he had an impact on the game with his energy. Right here, tear the rim off, young man. He's been a load to stop on the interior, whether it's in post-up, duck-in situations or on the offensive glass. He, to me, has been the difference maker. Boise State has not been able to answer his effectiveness on the glass.
6 rebounds, which is one of the reasons why UNLV now has a +1 rebounding advantage. That was the huge discrepancy coming in. UNLV, not a good rebounding team. Boise State, one of the best in the nation at +7 rebounding margin. Yet, as you pointed out in your keys, the Runnin' Rebels have held their own on the boards against the Broncos.
Yeah, that's enormous. That's something that we touched on with Kevin Kruger at shoot-around today. He said it's been a work in progress throughout the year, but we're starting to turn the corner. They had a game against St. Mary's earlier this year where they got beat by more than 30 on the glass.
That was ridiculous. Degenhart misses on the front end of the 1-and-1. So, yeah, that was St. Mary's out-rebounded by UNLV by 35 in a double overtime game. That's ridiculous.
You gotta take a second look at that stat because you don't necessarily believe it on first glance.
Keelan Boone down the baseline. There's Stanley with a rejection. Boise State brings it back. Play on. Good block by Omar Stanley. Anderson behind the screen from Stanley. Switch. Keelan Boone comes out to get him. Degenhart off the shot fake. Runner off the window. Tyson Degenhart with a flex to pull Boise State back within 2.
Good patience. Passed up a 3 to put dribble penetration on.
Thomas can't answer. Another rebound won by UNLV. So second chance. Thomas comes out to reset.
This is where the patience and the poise of Deon Thomas is so impressive as a freshman. Go gets the ball, makes sure they get into a good offensive set, which tonight has been run through Whaley on the low block.
Keelan Boone misses the 3 with a shot clock winding down. Big possession here for the Broncos.
Not a good shot from Boone after Whaley has done so much damage on the low block.
Degenhart attacks again. There's Stanley on the offensive glass. Foul is called on the rebound. It's on the floor. 1-and-1 coming for Omar Stanley.
Good job by Stanley of recognizing Degenhart attacks with a double team converging on him. Make yourself a presence at the rim. So if Degenhart misses as he did there, you're in the best position for the offensive rebound putback.
Stanley, big man, good free throw shooter, 78% on the year. Missing another front end of the 1-and-1. So advantage Boise State at the free throw line. They have missed 2 front ends. Thomas into the front court, timeout with 1:57. Well, this is a heck of a response by UNLV after that heartbreaking loss on Saturday to Utah State. And now if you're Kevin Kruger and the Runnin' Rebels, you hope some lessons learned from that game on Saturday.
Yeah, as a coach, you never know how your team is going to respond. That obviously being a very disappointing home loss where you felt you had it. In the win column, you go on the road and play in a difficult environment, and his team has given him everything that they can handle and want. You can see the passion that Kevin Kruger has. It's rubbed off on his guys tonight, that's for sure.
The former UNLV point guard Kevin Kruger, when he and Dad Lon led the Runnin' Rebels to the Sweet 16 in 2007 with a coaching point for his star freshman Didon Thomas Jr. They will rely on Thomas to make the decisions down the stretch that he has made throughout the night.
I would expect pick and rolls with Thomas or duck-in opportunities in the post for Caleb Boone.
Getting into Rodriguez as Thomas is denied. Caleb Boone on the floor with 4 personal fouls. Keelan Boone into Caleb Boone. Here comes the double. Caleb Boone needs help. Tries to find Keelan. It's knocked out of bounds by Boise State. 2 seconds on the shot clock.
And this is where I would expect Boise State to switch almost everything. Don't allow a back cut. Make sure you force the catch away from the basket. Do not foul, and make sure you rebound for UNLV. They've had a couple nice sets here on the baseline tonight where they've gotten opportunities, but it looks like they might be going back and taking another look to see if it's off Boone or if it's off Abo.
Our lead official, Marcus Pettigrew, made a signal as if would this be a reset of the shot clock. I mean, Boise State clearly didn't have possession of it. So under 2 minutes to go in the game, we'll review whether that's out of bounds to UNLV with 2 seconds on the shot clock. Yeah, that was the call.
I think it should be UNLV ball with 2 on the clock. We'll see what Kevin Kruger is able to draw up in this situation. I would imagine a screen with a slip action for Boone going to the rim.
Yeah, the call on the floor is out of bounds off of Abo. And you can see why they want to review it less than 2 minutes just to make sure, but
they also want to make sure they get the clock right too, because on the deflection, the clock doesn't start until the ball actually hits the floor out of bounds. So that might be something they're looking at as well.
Call stands, out of bounds off Abo. UNLV basketball, no readjustment of the shot clock, so just 2 off the inbounds here. Thomas will inbound off the baseline. 2 to shoot. Thomas gets it in. Rodriguez tries to jam. Fight for the rebound. Another tip into the hands of UNLV. On the offensive glass, UNLV comes up with another big win.
Keelan Boone out of nowhere just gets a hand on it to knock it out to half court.
14 offensive rebounds in the game for UNLV. Caleb Boone backing in. Shot clock winding down again. Webster takes it from the baseline. With a shot clock about to expire, Justin Webster has his biggest bucket of the night. 1 minute to go. Degenhart backing in on Rodriguez. Spins. Caleb Boone meets him there. Through the contact. Looks like a foul called. If it's on Caleb Boone, it's number 5.
Broncos foul, number 10, Caleb Boone. That's foul.
He's fouled out.
10 team fouls.
Terrific shot from Justin Webster as the shot clock winds down. Degenhart backing Rodriguez to his spot. Boone, a good job of initially walling up, but then comes down just a little bit with that right arm, which is where the foul is called. Got to give him a lot of credit. He didn't score it the way that he has been as of late, but a couple big offensive rebounds, a couple big timely buckets midway through the second half.
It is also double bonus, so even though that foul was on the floor, it's 2 free throws coming from Tyson Degenhart. Kevin Kruger using the foul out as a de facto timeout.
Tyson Degenhart to the line, shooting 2.
Degenhart missed his last free throw attempt on the front end. 2 shots here, and he hits the first. Boise State has won 22 straight at home, making this the longest active home winning streak, more than the Virginia Cavaliers. You have to go back to the first game of last season at home here for Boise State at ExtraMile Arena. Degenhart misses the second. Rodriguez has the rebound, and UNLV has a 3-point lead in the final minute.
UNLV may have gotten away with an over and back.
Anderson reaches in. Foul called. 1-1.
Broncos foul number 0, Ronnie Anderson.
So they'll put Thomas at the line. It was only a 66% free throw shooter. A 1-1 coming here. Look at tonight. 5 for 11 now. There's a free throw line tonight.
This is where if you're Boise State, you've got to block out. Running Rebels have been active on the glass. If they haven't been able to corral it, they've tipped it out, in particular the previous possession. And then I would expect, get the ball up the floor quickly. Don't have to settle for just a 3 just yet.
Second one spins out, so it's a 4-point game. Boise State needs something quick. Degenhart into the hands of Rice, looking for Stanley. A lot of time ticking off. Degenhart guarded by Thomas now. Degenhart takes him off the bounce, and there's your quick 2. 22 seconds left. Timeout, Boise State. Can the Broncos pull off what Utah State did on Saturday and break UNLV's heart in the closing seconds?
Well, both teams battle tested. They played a number of close games throughout the season. Degenhart just overpowers Dejon Thomas there. Finishes to draw the Broncos within 2. But now, a couple things to look at here. UNLV, you've got to have great spacing. You've got to be decisive on your screens, your screening angles, and coming to the basketball. You got to expect pressure. You got to expect either a quick attempt at a steal from Boise State or a foul. So you want to try to funnel the ball into some of your better free throw shooters, which would be Rodriguez around 71%, Keelan Boone at 82, or Justin Webster, who's 93% on the season, but only 13 of 14, so not a lot of attempts.
UNLV's biggest win of the year was over 8th-ranked Creighton in a game played in Henderson, Nevada. But this would be a monumental win over Boise State. We've won 8 straight against UNLV. Foul given by Rice, so UNLV is able to get it in. Webster to the free throw line. That's the 3rd personal on Max Rice.
I just mentioned, yeah, Webster, a really good free throw shooter. 13 of 14 for 93% on the season. Hasn't been there many times this year, but he's been successful. Make or miss, I would expect Boise State to push the ball up the floor quickly, not call a timeout, allow the defense to be set.
Webster, the 5th-year senior, 2nd year as a running Rebel, gets his first made free throw of the night. chance once again to make it a 2-possession game. With some guidance for Rodriguez to come off the free throw line here. So UNLV playing for defense. Webster gets the second.
UNLV now in a position where maybe they do foul. I think you play it out, but don't give up a quick, easy look.
Good screen from Stanley. Anderson on the run to the rim. Missed. That is out of bounds off of UNLV. So Boise State still has it, but down to 11.8.
Look for Max Rice or Abo getting freed up for a screen on this baseline out of bounds.
Another timeout for Boise State. 11.8 to go in regulation. So you flash back to just Saturday at the Thomason Mac. Down by 4 with 8 seconds to go. Brown hits the 3, but the big foul is called on Caleb Boone on that play, allowing Utah State to go to the free throw line and have a 5-point play, and Utah State comes away with an 87-86 win over UNLV. And again, Kevin Kruger summing up that all-time disappointing loss with just saying, you turn the page, and that is exactly what UNLV has done tonight. But 11.8 to go. If you learned anything from Saturday, this game is still not over.
You got to give a credit to a coaching staff for allowing and helping a player or a roster of players get over that disappointment. But if you're Kevin Kruger right now in the huddle, you're saying do not lose Rice and Abo, who are probably going to be the options coming off of maybe a misdirection or a double screen to free them up at the three-point line. While that's occurring, you got to be aware of a slip to the basket, and possibly by Stanley or by Degenhart, because you don't want to give up a quick one.
Anderson, the inbounder. One timeout left for both teams, so Boise State has trouble getting it in. Still have a timeout. Cross screen, Anderson gets it in. Degenhart, good look for 3. Missed it. Rice has the rebound. Rice bumped, fouled. Rice earns a trip to the free throw line. And 8 seconds. Clock is stopped with Rice going to the line for 2.
Degenhart had a good look at it, but Rice, understanding in this situation, all 4 must crash on a shot attempt.
Double bonus, 2 shots. Rice easily gets the first. That's Rice, an 83% free throw shooter on the year. 6th-year senior. Both Boise State back within 2. 8 seconds to go. Webster will inbound it for UNLV.
UNLV come to the basketball expecting Boise State to gamble for a steal or foul.
Webster, trouble getting it in, uses the final timeout by UNLV. That was close. Leon Rice holding up 5 for a 5-second violation, but the timeout granted to Webster. UNLV's now out of timeouts with 8 seconds, trying to get it inbounds. That's a tricky proposition for the Runnin' Rebels.
That was about as close as you can get without it being a 5-second violation. But good awareness from Webster to call that timeout.
Well, it is a group that has not been together a lot for UNLV, including because of the injuries and the Keelan Boone ineligibility earlier. But it is a group with 5 fifth-year seniors. So you have a lot of collective college basketball experience for UNLV. And you would hope some lessons learned from Saturday as well.
Yeah, they've got a ton of experience. The problem for UNLV is the experience isn't necessarily together. A lot of the time for practice, late summer, early fall, where you would start building that chemistry, they had guys missing time due to injury. But the nice thing, the beautiful thing, is there's always new opportunities in athletics. And after the disappointing loss against Utah State, UNLV has come out and competed. Now they just have to finish this out by the little things. Great screening angles, great screens, coming to the basketball, anticipating pressure, and then make free throws. For Boise State, you got to go for it. You got to try to deny come up with a deflection, come up with a steal, and then convert as quickly as possible.
Utah State down in the second half at New Mexico, so first place in the conference could be on the line as well. If Boise State can pull this one out and somehow go to 4-0 in Mountain West Conference play. Thomas looking for Webster. Get it into Webster. Foul is given in the corner with 6.2 showing. And Webster headed back to the free throw line. That's 9 team fouls, so still a 1-on-1 here for Justin Webster.
Good job from UNLV to make sure that it was Webster who had the best opportunity to get the inbounds. 93% free throw shooter coming into the night.
The foul was on Stanley, his fourth. Webster iced them both the last trip to the free throw line. Gets the front end.
Boise State's now, you got to get it and go regardless, make or miss. And this is really where you search for a three. Be curious if UNLV, if he makes this, if by chance they do foul.
Webster spins in, shooter's roll to make it a 4-point game. Boise State needs a bucket in a hurry. Rice heaves it. No good. Rebound tap. Stick back. UNLV upsets Boise State, snapping the home winning streak at 22 games. A bounce back win for Kevin Kruger and the Runnin' Rebels, 68-64, handing Boise State its first Mountain West Conference loss.
I'll tell you what, Carter, there are no easy wins in this league, whether at home or on the road. Boise State came in playing really well. UNLV, we talked about it throughout the broadcast, a disappointing loss. They could have gone the other direction. They galvanized together, had a terrific response on the road in a really good environment here in Boise.
So the biggest streak of the night, the home winning streak by Boise State, snapped at 22, but also UNLV snapping an 8-game losing streak versus the Broncos, including 3 games last year. Boise State ending UNLV's season. So for those Runnin' Rebels who were on the roster that last year, bit of a payback against Boise State. So now Utah State trailing at New Mexico. Will the Aggies lose their first Mountain West Conference game? San Diego State and Boise State behind them at 3-1. And a hard-fought second Mountain West Conference win for UNLV. An upset in Boise, 68-64, UNLV over Boise State. For Dan Dick, our entire CBS crew, I'm Carter Blackburn. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. We now send you back to Brent and the gang in our New York studio for Inside College Basketball.